Okay, let's get started here today. Thanks everybody for being here. So thank you for joining us today for our monthly public meeting here at Los Angeles Normal. Today is our first public chapter meeting of the year, and we really have a very special program for you today with our very special guest, Pineapple Express. So we're going to start off 2021 by talking about compassion. There's no doubt that 2020 has been a year of challenges for all of us beyond what anyone could have anticipated. We have all been struggling with the pandemic that has forced us to limit our social interactions with each other and withdraw into our homes for extended periods of time. And what's important to remember is that most of us were struggling with this thing or that thing before the pandemic started. So there's no doubt that the pandemic has applied a pressure cooker to each of these things that we're already struggling with. To struggle is part of the human condition. However, as empathetic human beings, we have the ability to reach out and offer compassion to those around us. So Los Angeles Normal has refined our mission for 2021, and we have a renewed focus to bring compassionate cannabis medicine to the various groups who are most in need of this compassion. So we've started a compassionate care program that brings together the legal cannabis industry, nonprofit partners, and the consumer cannabis community to provide medicine, fellowship, and charitable service to veterans and other cannabis patients that are in need. Our goal is to establish multiple persistent locations throughout the greater Los Angeles area and beyond, where in-need veterans and patients can access compassionate donations made possible through California state law SB34, also known as the Dennis Peron and Brownie Mary Act. So SB34 has established a process by which licensed cannabis companies can donate legal and tested products to eligible patients. Our Director of Veterans Affairs, Eric Gopel, will discuss SB34 and how we are moving this initiative forward at Los Angeles Normal. He's going to be joined by our very special guest, Sean Creedle, the CEO of Pineapple Express, a fantastic delivery service here in Los Angeles, who has joined us on this mission to deliver compassion to our community. So before we get started with the educational portion of our show, I'd like to recognize the team here at Los Angeles Normal that's responsible for everything that we do. I'd also like to remind you that Los Angeles Normal is an all-volunteer organization. So it's important to remember that these people are all here volunteering their time to push forward with the much needed reform to our cannabis laws in Los Angeles, California, and at the national level. They are here volunteering their time for the community, so we really appreciate you supporting us back. So our team consists of the legendary Bruce Margolin, who founded Los Angeles Normal in 1973 and will be forever our director emeritus. We're very grateful for him. Elizabeth Mack, RN, is our Director of Health and Wellness. Hirsch Jane is our Director of Government Affairs. Stephanie Way is our Deputy Director of Government Affairs. Brett Maycomer is our Director of Technology. Nicholas Castelli is our Director of Communications. Eric Gopel is our Director of Veterans Affairs. Dr. Swathi Varanasi is our Director of Medicine. Luis Rivera is our Director of Social Equity. And Maha Huck is our Director of Education. And my name is Ian Rassman, and I'm the Executive Director here at Los Angeles Normal, and truly your very grateful host for today. So to kick off our exciting program today, I'd like to introduce you to Eric Gopel, our Director of Veterans Affairs and the founder of the Veterans Cannabis Coalition. Let me just tell you a little bit about Eric here because he's an amazing fellow, and I want you to know who's representing us on this effort here. So Eric is an advocate and a policy professional focused on the intersection between veteran health and cannabis. Eric is a U.S. Army veteran of the Iraq War, having served for 7 years, with 6 of those spent in Special Operations community. After his military service, Eric worked as a defense contractor in Afghanistan before returning to school, where he attended the University of California, Berkeley, graduating with a BA in political science. During and after college, Eric worked with various policy roles in Washington, D.C., from a think tank to Senate staff to a nonprofit on national security and veterans affairs issues. At his time at the American Legion, which is the country's largest wartime veteran association, Eric developed organizational initiatives and policies aimed at combating the opioid epidemic. Spurred on by his drug policy work and realizing the importance of making cannabis available as a medicine, in 2018, alongside fellow Iraq War veteran Bill Ferguson, he founded the Veterans Cannabis Coalition. So the Veterans Cannabis Coalition is an effort dedicated to ending cannabis prohibition and driving the research and development of cannabis-based treatments. Since its founding on Capitol Hill, the VCC has advocated for the first cannabis reform bill to pass congressional committee, the VA Medicinal Cannabis Research Act, and testified before the House of Representatives Small Business Committee on the harms of prohibition and the promise of veteran entrepreneurship. In California, the VCC established one of the first legally compliant compassionate cannabis donation programs under California state law SB34 and is actively building a support network of patient home growers. Los Angeles Normal is very proud to support this mission. Eric, thank you so much for moderating our meeting today. At this point, I'd like to turn things over to you to discuss California SB34 and to introduce our very special guest today.
Thank you so much, Ian, and thank you for that very kind introduction. As Ian mentioned, SB34 is a California state law that essentially creates a legal pathway for licensed companies to donate product to patients and be excused in the process, certain taxes that the state would otherwise collect. Now, SB34 is essentially a revival of provisions or elements that existed under the previous law that California operated their medical cannabis market under, that was created under Prop 215. With Prop 215, many patients, during the Prop 215 era, I should say, many patients came to rely on the free flow of cannabis that the lightly regulated market was able to provide. With the start of legalization and track and trace, a lot of that free-flowing cannabis that made its way into the hands of patients basically disappeared. And as a function of the high tax and regulatory environment that exists in California, cannabis is considerably more expensive than legal cannabis. Is considerably more expensive than cannabis that exists in the illicit market or the legacy market. And patients, being the largest consumers of cannabis, are also the most price sensitive to the cost. So, for many patients, there is not really much of a choice between illicit or legal cannabis. For the amount of cannabis that they need to sustain themselves, they can only afford it illegally, or to purchase it illicitly. Now, SB34 provides a way to bring many of those patients back in to the legal market by providing them donations at no cost to them. What we're working with, with Veterans Cannabis Coalition and as part of LA Normal, is essentially to provide at least half of what an average patient would assumably need in a given month, to help defer some of the costs some of the cost burden that they're already experiencing. But this is all, but the provision of free donations is only possible with the participation of licensed operators like Pineapple Express. SB34 as a law does not create any incentives necessarily for companies to donate. All it does is remove the previous disincentives where companies were charged the full retail price, of any cannabis product that they wanted to donate. With SB34, they're excused, as I mentioned, certain state taxes. That considerably lowers the effective cost to the donors, but we have to acknowledge that there's still labor and material costs involved with any donation that comes through SB34. So at the moment, these companies, for the most part, are doing it out of understanding and commitment to compassion and seeing the power of cannabis medicine and knowing that the licensed industry has a very important role to play in bringing that to people. And SB34 again is sort of is that first step, I think, toward reestablishing a strong, compassionate presence within the legal market, because cannabis is going to be something that is it's not going away anytime soon. Well, it's never going away. It never went away. Despite prohibition and everything else. So, cannabis is here to stay, and it's important for us as advocates and patients as well to figure out ways to ensure that this remains something that's accessible to everybody, and that it is not it's not a luxury product that's only available to a few. Expanding and working to further socialize SB34 within the legal market is a major way to accomplish that. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Sean Krettel, who is the CEO and president of Pineapple Incorporated. Pineapple Incorporated includes Pineapple Express, which is a delivery service, which has been so generous to provide to step up and provide a consistent monthly donation to our partners at the American Legion, Post 397, Monterey Park, and the peer support, and the patient peer support group that they support, Compassionate Healing. So without further ado, I'd like to bring in Sean.
Hey, buddy. Thanks for having me. Appreciate being here.
Sean, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you again for bringing Pineapple Express and Pineapple Incorporated into the into this compassionate effort. Because again, as I mentioned, it is, this only works essentially if there are people in the industry saying yes, and agreeing that this is something that is worthwhile doing. So I'd like to just jump off and have you introduce yourself, if you wouldn't mind, and go into a little bit of your background, how you got into the cannabis industry.
Sure. So personally, everyone's Sean Krettel. And again, the president and CEO of Pineapple Inc., which is the umbrella, the publicly traded company, the umbrella for Pineapple Express, which is a statewide mobile dispensary, if you will. We get to most folks in LA, for instance, in under 2 hours in most cases, and we accept credit and debit as well. Pineapple Wellness, that is a nationwide distribution of hemp CBD only products, health and beauty, cat and dog treats, things of the like. And then we also, under our wheelhouse, we own the trademark THC, which obviously is probably, I would argue, probably the best trademark to have in this business. And that's also our in-house premium brand. We carry all the top brands, and THC is our premium product that we carry as well, and also it's our merchandise line. So that's where we sit under the Pineapple Express umbrella, Pineapple Inc. umbrella, by the way. Myself, originally from Connecticut, and it was something to where, how could I not? I was chomping at the bits, waiting for having us to have some involvement with this Compassionate Care Act, the SB34, because I'm a Marine Corps veteran myself, and so it's obviously close to home and it's personal for me, and I'm just I'm very humbled and I'm fortunate enough to be steering the ship of a company that I can actually do that with, that I have an avenue to help, and thankful enough that also my executives are behind me in this initiative. And it was actually one of the reasons why I was asked to come aboard and assume the position of CEO, is mostly because of my military structure. I do hold 4 master's degrees. Right before I was getting out of the Marine Corps, I started. I'm a big nerd, so I started using up that 9/11 bill, the post 9/11 bill. I think I probably use that more than anyone else. I juice that orange for for every little bit of drop I can get, but I got 4 masters out of that, and so I'm very fortunate to do that. And
that might be a record.
So I had to get a waiver, man. So I had my last waiver was actually as a civilian, trying to get the extension so I can finish that last master's degree. But very important. It's actually organizational and global leadership, and I actually came out summa cum laude there. So I guess I'm a big nerd. Military school, I graduated first in class. But honestly, I never really had a personal relationship with cannabis until after I separated. I never even tried it until I was maybe 22, and probably 5 times in my 20s. So it wasn't until, and PTSD is real. I didn't, in my 20s, I never really talk about where I went over there. I like to leave that stuff where it was, and but I'll tell you, I got so busy in my 20s. And with school, and I started a couple of businesses. I became a real estate broker out of Miami. I became a college professor in Miami as well. And I was into all these things. I started a fitness business called Simplify Fitness. And I was actually traveling to Europe and all these things. So it never really caught up to me, I guess, and that's why they call it PTSD, right? There's no timestamp on those things. It can happen right after you get out. It can happen, years later. And it wasn't until my 30s where it kind of hit me all of a sudden, not necessarily one thing, but it was more of a feeling I could never describe. I'm like, why am I so down? Everything's going well, everything's great. And so I took the advice of my physician, and I went to speak to a social worker, not just someone who he also served during the Gulf War, and it's certainly earned some points with me if someone that is a licensed therapist, but that is also perhaps maybe experienced some of the things that I've experienced, and honestly not that short of a time back. So he actually said, you know what, cannabis kind of helped for me, and I've never been a drinker, so not even in the Marine Corps, suffice to say, nobody believes that, but I didn't, I wasn't a quintessential, the jarhead type, but so I wasn't really a drinker, and I was a fitness guy, so I am a fitness guy, so I would love to run and things like that. So, but I said, how can I go to sleep? I started having trouble just sleeping, staying awake, and then I have a very good memory. So these things I would relive very vividly, to where I started getting panic attacks, and I didn't know what that was until it happened, and nothing triggered it. I was completely relaxed at home watching TV, and all of a sudden I felt like I was, okay, is this a heart attack or what's going on? And so he said, cannabis has helped for some, obviously there are certain, drugs that you can go on. I'm like, I'm not doing any of that. So I don't want, no thing that's going to make me not be like Sean, I'm an individual who's typically sharp and poised, and those things would just take away from that. So I think I was like, that's going to make it worse. So I had a buddy who gave me some cannabis, and I tried again. Like I said, I had done it about 5 times in my 20s, but it wasn't really my thing. But this made me sleep. That was the biggest thing. It knocked me out. And I was like, I woke up and I was like, wow, I actually slept all the way through the night for once in like years. And that was the thing. I was like, that was my sleeping pill, basically. I'm a lightweight even to this day. So I would, take a little bit and say again?
Nothing wrong with that. Keeps it cheap too, or cheaper at least.
Yeah, right. It's true. So I would take a little bit at night, couple of puffs in a small pipe, and then out like a light. And I woke up great. And honestly, some of these feelings of anxiety, and it just kind of went away to the point where I felt I would do it every other night or so, and I thought after about a year, I never had a panic attack again. So that was good. I had about 3 in that year, so I thought it was going to be a thing now, but it kind of canceled out. To this day, I haven't had one since, and then I've been able to sleep better. So it improved my function and everything. So, for me, I'm a lightweight because I don't do it too much, but it's helped me a lot, and I know it's helped a lot of my other veteran brothers and sisters not pick up a bottle or take some opioids or pills. So for me, it worked out a lot. But I basically one of the founders of this organization had reached out, and in terms of my background, educational background, but also military background, and the fact that there's not a lot of minorities running these corporations, period, let alone in cannabis, but period in this country. He thought it was a good fit, and I'm an East Coast guy. I got to be honest. I'm not. I'm part Puerto Rican as well. I'm half Puerto Rican, half African American. So I was living in Miami and Puerto Rico. I was going back and forth. So for me to come into LA, it wasn't really, and everyone's like, wow, the weather. I'm like, I got to compare between these two places, and plus I'm not paying state tax either in Florida. So, I got to spend money to move over here. But this was a I felt honestly, and I mean this, with everything that I've done in terms of education, racking up these degrees, and not really knowing why, because everything that I did, I was an entrepreneur. Um, but I felt like I've been training for this, pretty much all my life to do something like this. I also shadowed for about 5 years as CEO of United Health Group, and I was doing all the data analytics for him. So I was able to see the data that I was populating. Okay, this is why this is used to make these certain strategic, decision making and things like that. So I kind of picked that up as well, and I said, this is going to be changing on this side of prohibition that'll probably never happen again. Bringing a public company from this side to the other side is so huge, and especially for minorities to see that can be done as well. And I'm the youngest CEO of a publicly traded company in cannabis right now, and quite possibly the youngest. Period. Number three in the country. So it's definitely something to where I see as a duty and a responsibility to do the best that whatever I can with my organization. We are a people organization. I used to teach leadership and entrepreneurship when I was a college professor, and one thing I said is, if you don't know people, you don't know business, because you need people to not only buy the crap you're selling, you need people to sell the crap you're selling, and they have to believe in you and your vision, as well. They have to buy into that. So, people make human resources are your biggest asset. I love my employees. I genuinely do. And I'm so happy that we're very diverse in terms of we have veterans, all up the flagpole until myself, from drivers and then all in between and management and things like that. It brings a nice dynamic. But we also, hire, we make sure we hire inclusively of every dynamic in terms of racial equality, gender equality, all those things. Because I think Ian said to me the other day when we were at the event, he said, it's all about love. It's about love, and everyone there just had this common goal of helping veterans. Whether it was me being a veteran myself with the company, or people just coming in to help. Even those folks like Karen, who just volunteers her time as a civilian. I mean, that's amazing. And one thing that's so it's a big misconception. So I think a lot of people is that American Legions are not they're not funded by the government or state or anyone. They're self-funded. They don't get any municipality help, no federal funds. This is all people that actually genuinely care, that open up their pocketbooks, or at the very least can spend their time helping out. So it's a responsibility. It's not just personally as a veteran, but it's a corporate social responsibility that every corporation has to do. It's not just about making money. You're actually, what I say is you have to give back to these folks, because it's the people that actually sustain your business. These are the people that support you by consuming your product and buying your product. It's up to us too to support them in reverse. So it's a two-way street. So that's where we have with Pineapple. I'm a very black and white person in terms of integrity, and it's something to where I have a zero tolerance for. I'm super nice, but not when it's and we just passed Martin Luther King's birthday, and a lot of I'm not going to put anyone on the spot, but there's cannabis companies that I wanted to pull into this as well, and even post event to link up with you guys as well. I said, oh, maybe it's not maybe when it's maybe federally legal, or maybe next year, in the words of Martin Luther King, there's it's always the right time to do the right thing, and I'm going to do whatever Pineapple's going to do, whatever we can. I'm just happy to link up with other, like-minded organizations such as, yourself with Veterans Cannabis Coalition, my nonprofit. I just started Veterans Promise, which I'm sure has probably synergistic in their mission.
Yeah, do you want to just expand more on Veterans Promise and kind of go into? I mean, obviously you're a veteran, we understand, you have both, sort of moral and business integrity. So, you see the need that exists in the community, and understanding, and have an understanding of the things that you need to bring to bear to try to, actually solve problems, rather than, just sort of kicking the can down the road. So yeah, if you wouldn't mind expanding about, like the mission of Veterans Promise, and what you hope to do with it, going forward.
Right. Well, our mission is a broader sense. We obviously want to use SB34 in this state and Passionate Care Act to help doing exactly what we're all doing together, and that's to provide, cannabis to veterans in need. But also, this is also for homeless vets and feeding vets, and we're going to work with other organizations such as Meals on Wheels and things of that nature to collab. Basically, why not form everything like Voltron and help with this? So we're not just going to be niched and funneled into a certain mission. It's not just going to be about cannabis. It's not going to be about food or housing or anything like that. We're going to partner with anyone in those different facets that can help. And in my personal reason for doing this is I've always felt that a lot of these organizations fail us as veterans so much. And a lot of the time they're from people who had not experienced what it's like to put on a uniform. And so I always say, there's no one that knows how to take better care of veterans than us. And those civilians that stick in the trenches with us, like those folks, the good folks that volunteer at American Legion and all over the country, every post. Those folks really feel what it's like. A lot of them, they may not have worn the uniform, but they may have been married to one or had a son that was involved or really tied to the military. So I consider them the same. And I think it gives me more peace of mind when I know, for instance, if you were not a veteran, I'd have better peace of mind if you were leading that organization, So that's what Veterans Promise is about. It's a promise to do the right thing. It's a promise to be there. And I'm trying to pull in a suite of psychologists as well that can take certain telemed calls if they're feeling something. You guys met, I believe, on Sunday. A personal friend of mine, Dr. Steve Resnick, who is going to be coming aboard in the next month as our chief medical officer. And he's going to be able to not only provide in-house medical recommendations, so no one has to go somewhere else. If you don't have a medical rec, you can get it right here in-house at Pineapple Express. And Dr. Steve is also going to facilitate telemedicine calls where you can schedule a 5-minute consultation. And you can actually, if you're a veteran, here's the other thing too. A lot of people think that if you're a veteran, if you're doing it for a specific ailment, you're doing it just to get essentially high. No, it's not the case. Some methods still don't take away the pain, So prescribing or recommending like the Bird Valley Organics with Scott, those RSOs and those FSO oils, those are the better tricks right there to really get down and to help with things such as like fibromyalgia or even sleep deprivation. Because for me, that helps me go to sleep and stay asleep. And it's only this little bit. And I don't have to actually smoke. And maybe you can't smoke where you are. Maybe you don't want to, because it's still an unhealthy way to intake, or consume cannabis. So yeah, those things will give people more credence and light. Okay, well, maybe microdose over the day, and people may not know what that means, or maybe not know that what effect can happen. So this goes also along with our motto at Pineapple is KWIC, and it's know what you consume and why. Education is key, I think, especially going into this year. Education is probably one of the top things about cannabis across the country. It's really understanding why you're taking this medicine and how you're taking this medicine, what method and which way. So Dr. Steve is coming aboard as a huge asset to us, and also he's a veteran. He's, like I said, he's my buddy. He's a veteran. He served the same times that I did but in the Air Force, he was a combat flight physician, and that's where he was actually stationed with some of my Marines, and they gave him the nickname Cool Doc. So that's his nickname. But he's currently a 27-year ER doctor, and so he's around the country helping out in COVID hospitals right now, just being a superhero. And so I'm so happy that he's coming aboard. He's an advocate for cannabis and really wants to, give more validity to this industry, via pineapple. And he's also coming aboard and wants to do these things at our Hollywood and Vine dispensary opening up soon. We're going to have a consultation room, private room with Dr. Steve as well. And we're actually opening our flagship dispensary on a corner of the famous Hollywood and Vine at the end of this quarter. So that's going to.
You want to preview that a little bit and talk about what customers might be expecting when they step in?
Well, I mean, this is our crown jewel. So I mean, first of all, the location. When people say, "Oh, we're on Hollywood and Vine," I'm like, at the corner of Hollywood, drive by, you'll see those guys whacking hammers like crazy right now. We're trying to create a pineapple, the Planet Hollywood experience for retail cannabis space. So actually, this sits right on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So we're going to carry those stars into the facility as well, and every certain folks who have invested are going to have their own stars. We're going to have a star for such as like a Snoop Dogg or the founders of cannabis and how in terms of entertainment and things of that nature. Step and repeat, VIP rooms. It's going to be amazing. So we're doing that. We actually have we're actually opening up investments for this. We're almost done. We have about 3% left in this venture that we never actually publicly marketed. We just opened a Rolodex, and people were just like, "This is just gonna print money." It's literally on that walk, and it's across the street from the highest grossing Starbucks in California. It's a metro station, train station right there. There's a bus stop that pulls up about 8 times a day right in front of the dispensary.
A little bit of foot traffic, you're saying.
Oh, crazy, crazy!
A little bit.
And it's organic too, because it's the Walk of Fame. So yeah, we have a lot of folks in there. And one thing about pineapple too is I would probably say there's no cannabis company on the planet that has the celebrity cachet that we do. Collectively, we have everyone in house, and it's a great thing because during COVID, we were actually the only cannabis delivery service ever to be on the airwaves. It's an FCC violation, but we were able to get on K-Day and Power 106. I
think I actually remember hearing those commercials, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was struck by it at the time, yeah.
About 6 times a day, we were on both networks for about 5 weeks, doing a PSA for the stay-at-home order. And that was the greatest, thing for us personally, or, for us as a company, because, the stay-at-home order, everyone had to shut down. Some of these companies were able to deliver, but they didn't have the infrastructure, the brick and mortars, to actually deliver or do curbside pickup at that point. We were already doing this about a year and a half, prior. So our deliveries went up, and then the conversion rate stayed because people realized, well, I can get the same product at home. I can schedule it or get it under 2 hours, and they can take credit and debit. So we kind of take the guesswork out. Once people actually use the service, then they realize, wow, this is actually a lot easier. So we've blown up, that way. And obviously, for the passing of Tiny Lister, who played Debo on the movie Friday, he was in Zeus to others. He was my personal friend, but he was also our spokesperson for Pineapple. To where in April, I had him deliver on his bicycle a free goodie bag to a lucky contest winner every Friday in April since the whole month was 420. And then TMZ picked that up, threw us on TV, and they had another follow-up interview with us. We got great publicity off of that, and we started doing this all summer long. Memorial Day, we delivered to a veteran an Air Force vet, Vietnam Air Force veteran. We delivered to him, and then Father's Day and Mother's Day and so on and so forth. And our last delivery that we did, it should have been Christmas, but he passed right before. We did Veterans Day, and that was amazing. We delivered to an Army vet that also served during, an operation in Iraqi Freedom, and we gave him a lot of goodies. And we actually, one of the premier products was the napalm, and that is from Exhibit, the rapper Exhibit. That's his brand, whose father is also 2 tours of Vietnam veteran.
I did not know that.
Yeah, a lot of people. We have, I carry 7 Leaves, which is Matt Barnes, the NBA.
Oh yes, yeah.
NBA star. His dad did 2 tours as a Marine in Vietnam. So he's in our wheelhouse as well. So we have a lot of other celebrities that are jumped on board with it. They're Wiz Khalifa. Both of his parents were in the Air Force. He was actually born in Guam. So it's so amazing to hear all these these stars. They have, and it does make sense because these guys are hard workers, and you wonder where they get that from, right?
Right.
Exhibit said, I wasn't a Marine, but I was raised like one. And he's
mean,
like, that's where I get all my.
athletes,
He's like, that's where I get all my stuff from. I got it from my
Sure.
father. So I was like, that makes sense, man. That makes sense. So, and they're going to be coming aboard and helping out with Veterans Promise as well.
That's great.
Supporting that and get that catapulted very well. So yeah, man, I'm trying to hit it at all cylinders. And I run a very tight ship, and we have some excellent folks. You guys met Steve Scher, has a wealth of knowledge with the pharmaceutical side and rehabilitation side, and of course Josh Eisenberg, my COO, who's really the probably the biggest help here in helping us even understand what this bill was. And he's the one that read it, so
Right.
So but and he's also going to be a big part of Veterans Promise as well. He's going to come on as my chief compliance officer there. So he comes from a military background as well, and all these guys respect what we've done, having not put on boots themselves. So with Pineapple, like I said, I need to just have more. I want to build our network with like-minded individuals such as yourself. I thought Sunday was such a great event. Even that was our first time collabing, and it went so well. And that's why I'm bringing in a lot more people. I'm going to bring in some more PR people, and just to sensationalize this, to get the word out, because I'm telling you, we're gonna, especially if I have anything to do with it, which I do, we're gonna make this a lot bigger, and we're gonna definitely have more eyes on us. I'm gonna have a lot more celebrities involved, so we can get that kind of cachet and those eyes to help us out, and get the word out. So I'm just, like I said, I'm thrilled, man. And again, it's personal for me because we're really doing something good here, and I can feel the love, from everyone, that's on that Sunday. I don't know who did it on that Sunday because that was, I was missing the game, and I was like, this. I thought it was Saturday all the way up until about 3 days before. I was like, wait, no, that's Tom Brady's. Tom Brady's playing at that time. But we made it work, right? We made it work.
You're from Connecticut, so you would be a Patriots fan. Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, that's true.
Fair enough.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. See, thanks for not laying into me, because that's the thing. I was a Patriot fan before Brady got there, so.
Yeah. Well, Tom Brady's dominance notwithstanding, I think what you hit on, though, the people sometimes like brush off the impact that celebrities can have, but they have platforms, right? They are influential people, actors, athletes, hip hop artists, especially, especially in the Black Latino community, have been the ones who have normalized the use of cannabis in so many ways. And the kind of general acceptance, I think, that we're now experiencing in the United States, that people, 90+% of the population is in favor of medical legalization, and about 2/3 of the population, which includes, well, it used to include a bare majority of Republicans. I'm not sure, I think it might be like 49% now, but nearly majorities of all political orientations. About 2/3 of the country supports adult use legalization, right? But Congress is not Congress is slow to move and slow to react, and cannabis has been one of the things that has taken the longest to really address in any substantial way at the federal level. Although we've seen tremendous growth, obviously, throughout the states, which has been fantastic. And that's really the only reason we're at the position now, what Veterans Cannabis Coalition and National Normal, especially, trying to work on bills like the MORE Act, which would be achieve broad descheduling and decriminalization along with restorative justice components. So with all that being said, so I mean, it sounds like you've got a great team, and obviously LA Normal, and we're deeply appreciative of your vision and commitment to this, and we're definitely looking forward to continuing to expand on this, and hopefully we'll take the show to Washington, because the patient community that we're sort of, I would say, rebuilding, but to be fair, I wouldn't say, I don't know if there was I couldn't say if there's a visible patient, cannabis patient population in the state, despite it, being the largest state with hundreds of thousands of cannabis patients, right? But where are they? Who is, and whether they're elected representatives or community advocates or industry, who's really standing up for those people, of which, I include myself in that. You're a cannabis patient yourself. Almost nearly every veteran that I know uses cannabis in some way, shape, or form, even though a lot of them don't prefer smoking, right? Half of vets are over 65, so a lot of folks, they might prefer more of a tincture or a topical, depending on their issue. But I firmly believe that there's a cannabinoid and an application style that will work, that will help everyone. There's something that you're dealing with that a cannabinoid might help, improve in some way or shape or form. So, but bringing that, the promise of cannabis to people is going to take a lot more work, and it's going to take work like what we're doing together. So again, thank you, and I want to sort of throw it over to the group, because we might have some Q&A coming up, and I think Elizabeth Mack, our Director of Health and Wellness, is going to kick that off with a question for you.
Yeah, before we jump into the questions, Eric, thank you for moderating that meeting there with Sean. Eric, Sean, brother, I have to tell you, you and your whole team at Pineapple Express, I have to give you a huge shout out, because you folks have simply been amazing. And we're truly, truly humbled at the enthusiasm that your entire team has put into making this a success. So if I may, I'd like to give a special shout out to Joshua Eisenberg and Stephen Schur, who have been working behind the scenes with you to make this possible. I know you gave them a shout out a minute ago, but I got to do it too. Thank you all for being leaders in the cannabis industry and for the compassion that you're bringing to our community. We greatly appreciate all of you at Pineapple Express. Thank you. And I also want to give a quick shout out to the other organizations that participated in Sunday's Compassionate Care event at the American Legion Post 397, which is run by Gabriel and Karen Suarez. And we had, Bird Valley Organics, Rove Brand, Coastal Sun Farms, Wild. Thank you all so much for participating. Thank you. So turning that over to Elizabeth. Elizabeth, you want to lead us off on some Q&A, please?
Sure.
And let's, Brett, if you wouldn't mind, bring all of our board members out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah, what a great show. And I'm just really enamored by all the work that you're doing and your story. It's just fascinating to hear more about you and your work. And, I'm just wondering, how we might help you from LA Normal on the educational front.
I think with doing things such as this, I think I talked to Ian about an hour ago or before the show, and having more frequency. It's really about the push, and it's just people just need to. It's education. It's really the key. I see this as an industry whole, just from my other contemporaries in the industry, but also for us. It's about education, and it's about what I'd like to do as well is, and this was what Steve Schur had this idea, to have more education even into senior homes, making visits to senior homes, or even there he is, there's Josh, and even maybe small, once this, we get past this pandemic entirely, shuttling some seniors to dispensaries so they can actually experience, and not feel, they don't want to go inside, and give them a walkthrough of what to expect, but also having a rep that can come there to their center maybe once a month to give classes on certain things and how they can ingest and how they can make they can better serve their pain management. I think that's a big key, because one thing I didn't mention too is when I was in the military, we used to get tested a lot for drugs, and rightfully so. However, guys would not consume cannabis because it stayed in your system longer, but they would do the hard stuff, that leaves you in a couple days. So just that stupid stigma, and I mean, I'm pretty articulate, but there's really nothing to say other than it is stupid. That it breaks my heart a lot, because I've known of guys that were abusing, cocaine and things like that, just to either ease the pain or put their mind off of what we just did, And so it's like, if I didn't know, I didn't try anything. And like I said, I didn't try cannabis until I was in my 20s. So to me, when I tried and I look back, I'm like, what the heck? Why didn't anyone say anything, or why didn't anyone tell us, or whatever? So I think it's a new world, it's a new day. We got to grab it by the horns and really try to steer this thing and go harder. So I think doing these more often, and bringing in more folks to speak would definitely help. Yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to doing more events and providing more education. And one of the things that has to be overturned is any kind of drug testing, because to your point, cannabis is a natural substance known by the human body to balance us softly and gently and effectively. And so cocaine versus cannabis, it should be an absolute no-brainer. So drug testing is one of the things we got to get to. And I'd love to work with you guys on outreach to senior facilities, because they have the most to gain when you think about medicines for pain, sleep, anxiety, inflammation, digestion. Cannabinoids can be effective in all of those routes. So yeah, we need to forge into senior homes.
Absolutely. And I that's something, again, that's pretty much been near and dear to our hearts. And Stephen Scher had this idea about a year or so ago, and now we have the actual infrastructure. We've grown, and now we can actually do those things. So I do not like companies, not just cannabis, but others, that kind of forget where they came from. They had these intentions at first, and then they build and they build and they make the money, and then they don't want to do that anymore. They get away from their mission, and you don't want to do that. That's not a good look. So that's why I think we can run at optimal cylinders, because we all believe the same vision, and it takes all of us to do that. Everyone from where I sit to middle management to drivers and everywhere in between, and especially my drivers. I tell them that they're the face of they're the face of Pineapple, and a lot of these customers or consumers don't know who the hell I am or what I look like, but it's that guy that says, "Here's your package. Thank you for ordering from Pineapple Express." That's the lasting example. So I'm glad that everyone's on board with that here, and so that allows us to go ahead and push hard and help with what you guys have going on. And I love the collab. Like I said, and Ian and I have mutual friends that vouch for each of us. So it's even bigger peace of mind. That shout out to Curtis Jones, Kurt Boogie Jones.
Curtis was supposed to be here. He told me he was coming.
He did tell me a little early. I talked to him actually, but I'm that's another guy who's definitely has to chime in here on one of our shows here. But again, it's all good people, and good people doing good things. Again, that's a no-brainer. Do that all day and twice on Sundays. Well, as long as there's no game on, let's just not do that again. Okay?
That was honestly something, watching all you guys like this with your phones and like.
I think I had two, so I had the two angles going. But yeah, you got some of that, Ian. You got some of that. You were looking over my shoulder.
Can I
Bruce,
chime-
go ahead, Bruce.
I want to say, first of all, thank you all for participating and doing what I consider God's work. Okay, this is an important very important aspect of service to mankind. And I couldn't commend you all more than I could possibly say with words. But as far as drug testing is concerned, I think it's important. For a matter of fact, I do drug testing in my office. If you don't have THC in your system, you're fired. Anyway,
I actually have a very good friend. He's actually a psychotherapist. He's in his 70s now. Super close friend of mine, but he says it should be mandatory. You know, it should be mandatory, and and so I'm with you, Bruce. But it's an honor, sir. Absolutely, it's an honor, and I'm going to continue to do that.
And have people like you that have picked up the ball and ran with it. Just exactly what we've been talking about for 50 years is what you're saying, and what you're doing is the epitome of what our work should be about, is providing this sacred herb to those who want it or need it, and continue having the choice to do so. And I want to just thank you so much for what you're doing. And I hope that all success comes to your project and to your product, because you deserve it. And thank you.
Sir. Thank you. Thank you. We got no choice. I'm going to keep dribbling that ball, and I'm a pretty contagious guy. So I'm going to round up some more people too, and I'm going to use this platform that I have to get all these people involved, because a lot of people are like us out there, but they don't know that they can do something. They don't know how. So that's the point. We got to get more of this word out. So folks that chime in and say, okay, yeah, I can help with this. And then, we build it like Voltron. We keep getting stronger, and we keep getting better, right? But it starts here. This is our core.
Anybody got any questions for anyone on the normal team, or for Sean at Pineapple Express? Anything anybody want to ask?
I had a quick question. So Sean, the store opens after the first quarter on Hollywood and Vine?
Yes, sir. Yep. It should be maybe a little bit before. I would say we're scheduled the March 15th, honestly. But I like to be a little conservative. But yeah, for sure, we'll have a soft launch over there, and then we'll have since it's so close to 420, we'll probably do the major launch.
Don't forget St. Patrick's Day.
My question
Sounds like
for
you're lined
Sean.
up for St. Patrick's Day, and that's a green holiday.
It's like the 17th, right?
Also a green holiday. Just saying.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Take note of that, Josh, if you're listening.
My
Well,
question
Calvin,
is,
what was your
Sean,
other question, sir?
It was more about when the Pineapple Express was opening, and I wanted to say rest in peace, Debo. And I got to try the napalm at some point.
Yeah, that's an evening. That's about a 3-hour burn, brother. That thing is 7 grams of top shelf, infused with 1 gram of live resin, rolled in lift tickets that are also dipped in live resin, with a nice heavy ceramic cigar tip. Yeah, I sound like I got a commercial going on here. But yeah, that's
I'm on the website right now ordering, Sean.
that's
Sounds like a good Friday night.
yeah, it's
Sounds like a real connoisseur
It's
item.
amazing. I honestly think it should have. For me, I would, in the packaging is amazing, and Exhibit did all himself. It wasn't like he had a team. He designed everything himself. It had to be right. So, yeah, that's I think it should win an award. It should have won best product or something like that. It really, down to the packaging and everything. It's phenomenal.
I think we had a question from Brian. Brian, were you asking a question?
Yes, sir.
yeah, I'm asking Sean, do you know about the tents outside the West LA VA Medical Center? They're homeless veterans. I believe your vet promise would help them so much.
These are the folks right outside. This is the one around the 10, right? I heard
Yes.
somebody told me that it's basically like a small tent city set up in front of.
Yes. Oh yeah. Please.
Like, what kind of crap is that?
It looks like a third world refugee camp. I'm a Navy veteran. I got chronic myeloid leukemia. That's why I'm sitting in on this. I use live resin and flour. Usually, Bubba Kush was what I started on. I'm also a Pi Theta Kappa International honor student from Santa Monica College that had 3 semesters left before the VA kicked me out of a rapid rehousing program. I'm trying to help my brothers that are worse off than I am.
Well, I'm glad.
My dad's a blue gold officer for Annapolis and a Marine Corps commander, retired.
I do thank you for your service, sir, first of all. And I'm glad you put that back on my radar because someone did tell me about this not even a week ago. And I haven't driven by there. My office is actually not too far from there. So I think I'm going to swing by on Friday just to get a bird's eye view of myself.
Now, I'm not over there. I'm in a tent right next to the Wells Fargo Center. It's got camouflage on it. And I'm usually standing in the middle of the freeway panhandling with the American flag. And everybody knows me because I try and give hand signals to direct traffic, especially when EMS vehicles are coming through the intersection. They're godsend to us right now with COVID.
What do you think? What do you think, sir? What is something that you guys would, are in huge need of right now? Is it food? Is it water?
I don't have that answer. There's a Rob that works with AMVETS. He's the director over there. He's the contact you should make. You see, I'm stepping back as far as I'm just giving you the information so you can do what you can do. And I very much appreciate it because I see something in you being a Marine Corps.
Well, no problem, sir. Like I said, I'll definitely look into this. I have another, and that's something I can talk offline with Eric about too. See if we can do something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do some recon myself. I need to go over there actually. I'm glad you mentioned that to me because I'll probably go over there on Friday.
It's a very complex problem. It's a very complex problem. So there's no quick solution, and I think all the vets know this.
Well, it starts somewhere, that's for sure. I think us vets are very understanding, but at least somebody's got to get the ball rolling. Or at
John,
least
text me. I'll roll over there with you on Friday.
Okay, sounds good, brother. Yeah, I want to get some tape and see what's going on.
God bless you
we'll
guys.
Get started like that, but I'm definitely glad. Brian, I'm glad you brought that up.
Brian, thank you for being
so much.
Brian.
God bless you guys.
We're thrilled to have you here, Brian. Thanks for joining today. So I guess we're going to wrap things up here if we don't have any more questions. And I really want to thank everybody for being here today to provide such great education. I'd also like to thank the audience out there for coming out to support Los Angeles Normal. I'd like to remind everybody that we are an all volunteer organization, so we really do appreciate any support you're able to provide. Please do consider becoming a paying member of Los Angeles Normal. We have a special $4.20 a month, and support the work that we're doing. If you own a business, we do have a mission partnerships available on our website as well. So please visit us at lanormal.org. That's LANORML.org. Thank you all for being here today. And from everyone at Los Angeles Normal, we'd like to send a big thank you for all of your support. Peace and love to you all.
Yes,
Thanks, everybody.
God bless you.